Welcome to Vintage Variety. Today's content is all about repairing and repurposing vintage and antique jewelry. I have this very old and slightly beat up jewelry box, and I'm going to show you guys what all I have inside of it. I have a lot of different pieces of vintage jewelry that is broken or needs repair. And then I also have some bits and pieces of loose rhinestones, cabochons, things like that to do those repairs with. So today I'm going to be showing you how I repair some of my pieces of vintage jewelry. And I'm also going to show you what I do with those little bits that just can't be repaired. Things such as broken necklaces and loose beads, and how you can take those pieces and repurpose them into something really beautiful. I'm going to start with these. This is a bag full of pieces of old broken milk glass jewelry. And this was sent to me by my friend Dana Stewart Coates over at Killer Queen Antiques. Most of you that watch my channel are already familiar with her, but if you're not, she gets some wonderful antique jewelry and she has some vintage jewelry on her channel. She's out of the United Kingdom, so I will leave a link to her channel in the description box below this video so you can go and check her out for some beautiful antique jewelry and also some great information on vintage and antique jewelry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these and I'm going to create something else. Another jewelry piece that I have here is this beautiful piece with the filigree back. I believe this may have been part of a necklace at some time or the other. And this came from another fellow YouTuber, Hannah over at Fleur de Montagne. So she does a lot of jewelry crafting. She also does a lot of educational videos. And I'll also leave a link to her channel in the description box below so you can go and check her out. But my idea for this is to use all of these beads and take them off the original string, which I've already started doing here. And I'm going to link these together, make little links using some jewelry wire. You can see that these are only bits and pieces, so not an entire necklace. And they're all different types of beads. This is the jewelry wire that I'm going to use. This is 18 gauge jewelry wire. And I'm going to use this to link my beads together. And the other piece is going to be my centerpiece. And I believe what I will be doing with this is I'm going to try to make a bracelet out of it. I think that this would work best as a bracelet, but you guys can let me know when you see the end result. I was attempting to do this on camera and wasn't recording, so I've already finished with the bracelet, but I'm going to show you guys the result and you can kind of get a feel for what I did here. I linked these beads together as I already mentioned I was going to do, and I decided to do double strands just to make the piece look balanced. I ended up using all of the beads of this size from that broken piece of necklace. And I attached it to the filigree piece on the back of that one big centerpiece. I'm not going to fasten it, but I did want to show you guys how it looks on my arm. I think this is just beautiful, and it was a wonderful way to repurpose broken pieces of vintage jewelry. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, and do you like this piece or would you have done something different? Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about repairing these beautiful earrings. These also came from Hannah. They were in the same lot as the milk glass piece that I just made the bracelet out of. And I thought they were beautiful. These were clip-on earrings. And the problem is, of course, it's missing one of the clips. And this one has started to come apart. I would love to repair these to how they would have looked originally and put another clip back on the missing one. The problem with this is I don't have the other clip-on piece. So these were in a craft lot for that reason. And the wire on these earrings, the wire that's used to put them together with, is slowly starting to disintegrate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these apart one at a time And I'm going to use some new jewelry wire, and I'm going to put them back together identical to how they were. And I'm going to turn these into pierced earrings. In order to do that, I will be using a fishhook earring wire. I'm going to do one off of camera and come back and show it to you, and then I'm going to do the second one and show you how I did it. Here is the first one that I've redone, and you can see it turned out rather well. I did replace the wire in the earring. I also replaced the bead cap that was on the top because I only had one of those. And I also added a fish hook, so these earrings can now be worn as pierced earrings. It turned out that these earrings were really simple to make. So if you're watching this video, maybe it'll give you an idea of how to make a similar pair on your own. This is the other earring, and this is the one that wasn't damaged. You can see that it still has the clip on it. So what I'm going to do with this is I am going to take it apart, and I'm going to show you guys how I repaired it. I did want to show you guys right quick the wire that came out of the other earring. You can see it's discolored. One of the things that you will run across in very old jewelry is wire like this, and over time it starts to get worn and disintegrate. Miriam Haskell used a lot of wire work beadery or cage work beadery in her jewelry, and that's why many of her really old pieces, when you do run across them, either are damaged or haven't survived the test of time. And a lot of it has to do, of course, with how the pieces were stored and cared for. But if the pieces were worn often or not cared for properly, over time the wire in them does start to disintegrate. So I'm going to show you guys the repair. This is the wire that I'm going to use. This is an 18 gauge, I believe, jewelry wire. And you can purchase this just about anywhere where they sell jewelry supplies. And I've already pre-cut my piece for the second earring. In fact, when I was cutting the wire, I cut both the pieces of wire that I was going to use in these earrings at the same time so they would be about the same length. So I'm going to have to cut this earring apart in order to repair it. And I'm just going to use a pair of wire cutters to do that. I'm going to take the bead cap off of it, and I'll store those pieces. Just, you never know, you may end up needing them again. And I'm probably going to have to cut this twice just to get it to come loose. Now I'm just going to very carefully remove all of the beads that are on this wire, and when I get them all took off, I'll show you what the wire looks like so you can see how old and worn it is. And here you can see that this wire is turning black with age, and it's very brittle. Whenever you're doing a project like this, it's a really good idea to do one at a time. For example, with these earrings, I did one earring and kept the other one just as it was so that I could look at the pattern and copy that in order to put the earring back together exactly the way it was originally. I am going to speed this up just a bit because I think this would be rather boring for you guys to watch me put each individual bead on. But once I get all of these on here, I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Now that I have all of my beads on, I need to tighten the sides of the wire, pull them together as tightly as I can, just like so. And then what I'm going to do is take one of the wires and give it a twist to secure the earring. Just one more twist just to make sure that it's really nice and secure. Now I'm going to add a bead cap, and I'm just going to push the wires through the hole in the bead cap and push it down so that it's really nice and secure. I'm also going to wrap my wire again just to secure down that bead cap really well. And if you have jewelry pliers, it's a good idea to use those pliers to get that wire really nice and tight so that your bead cap won't slip around. Then I'm going to cut off the excess, and I'm going to use my jewelry pliers to clip that down so that it doesn't poke anyone when they wear the earrings. I have this one piece left. I'm going to cut some off of this. I don't need it quite so long. And I'm just eyeballing this, but you can measure just to make sure you get both of your loops the same size. So I'm going to use my looping pliers, and I'm going to bend this wire and turn it into a loop. And the loop will hook on to the ear wire. So I've got it looped down, and I can straighten this up a little bit with my other pliers. A lot of times when you make your loop, you will have to do that. And I'm not going to completely close the loop because I'm going to use it to hook through the ear wire. So I'm just hooking it through the loop that's on the ear wire. And then I'm going to use my jewelry pliers, and I'm just going to tighten that up so it's really nice and secure. And that way the earring won't fall off of the ear wire. And here is the end result. I think these are beautiful. They look identical to how they looked originally. The only difference is it doesn't have the clip with the pearl at the top. I have a few more pieces here, and not all of these need repairs, or rather, I'm not going to repair them all. This is a really neat brooch. It's domed, and I love the way it looks on the inside. Look how intricate that is. All I'm going to do to that piece is give it a good cleaning. Then I have this antique sash pin, and I'm only going to clean this piece. It is rather dirty. It could use a really good cleaning. And the stone that's on the front of this piece, it does have some chips and some nicks out of it. And one thing that you run into with these really old pieces of jewelry is a lot of times you're not going to be able to find the exact fit when it comes to the stone. And I want to keep that one original. This one is also antique, and the stone is slowly slipping out of this. I'm not sure what's going on, but I am going to do a repair on this one today. And I'll just kind of show you guys. It's barely held in there. It does have these sawtooth prongs on it, but they aren't connecting or holding the piece in all the way around. And then it's also partially held in by this dragon's head. So I'm going to be very careful taking the stone out of this, because these old pieces like this, they're often made of brass and they will break. Now that I have the stone popped completely out, I'm going to use the rubber tipped back of my pliers, and I'm just going to prise these open a little bit larger, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on. One of the prongs is doubled over, so I am going to use the needle point of the plier just to gently nudge that back out where it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to finish working all the way around, just gently pressing and opening these up. So now let's see how the stone's going to fit in here. It's strange because this stone is the right size, but it just doesn't seem to be wanting to fit properly. I'm really not sure. I'm going to go back over this and check again, make sure all these little prongs are opened up, and just try to figure out exactly what's going on with this brooch. Okay, so I have figured out the problem with this brooch, but it's not one that I'm going to attempt to fix. What I'm going to do is I have put a little bit of jewelry glue into the cup that holds the stone. And I've got it pressed in there tightly, and I'm going to tighten all of these prongs back up. I'm going to give this time to dry, and then I'll come back and I'll show you guys later on in the video, and I'll explain to you exactly what I did and why I did it. Meanwhile, I have mixed up a solution of white vinegar, and a little bit of dish liquid. And I'm just going to put these pieces in here to soak all of the old dirty dirt and grime off of them. After they have soaked for a while, probably 30 to 45 minutes, I'll take them out and I'll give them a gentle scrub with a toothbrush, and I'll show you how they look. Meanwhile, since I already have the jewelry glue out and ready to use, I'm going to repair this necklace. I showed this in recent content. The front piece has fallen off of it, so that needs to be glued back in. And another thing that I really don't like about this necklace that I'm going to change is going to be the tassel. I did fail to mention that the type of glue that I'm using and that I prefer to use for jewelry is hypo cement. Now I'm just going to place this back in here. Sorry about my camera moving around. And give it a press down. You do let this glue set up for a few minutes and get a little bit tacky before you use it. So I'll let that sit, but there is something else that I'm going to do to this necklace, and that is the tassel at the bottom. I really don't like the tassel. I just think it doesn't go well with the necklace, and it's all fabric. So I am going to take that off, and I'm going to replace it with a chain type tassel. This necklace is more modern. It is a fashion piece, but I really like it. I just don't like the tassel. I think that the tassel kind of overwhelms the necklace and needs to be done away with. When I showed this in content, there were quite a few of you that agreed with me. So what I'm going to do is remove this, and I have a chain tassel in the same color, kind of a brassy color, that came off of a broken necklace that I already had here. And that necklace wasn't vintage. It was also more of a modern fashion piece. So I'm just opening up the bottom here using my jewelry pliers. And now I'm going to add this tassel to the bottom. This tassel also has a loop on it. And I'm going to tell you guys, the jewelry pliers come in really handy. They're like second hands for me. Now that that's on there, I'm going to tighten everything up so that it's really nice and secure, just so it doesn't fall off. And look at that. I feel like this looks 100% better. But you guys can be the judge. Let me know what you think in the comments. Here is a better look at this necklace on the forum, and I think it looks 100% better before the tassel overwhelmed the pendant of the necklace, and now it doesn't. This next brooch that I'm going to repair is another item that I got from Hannah. I think I ordered a couple of different repair craft type lots from her. The only thing wrong with this one is it's missing one cabochon. And believe me, I've had this thing for months, and I have scoured the internet trying to find a stone that would work for it, something identical to what was already there. Couldn't find anything, but what I did find was this. I had to purchase an entire bag of them. It is an AB stone that will fit in the place of what I would call kind of like an Easter egg type stone. I think that this is going to work out because this does have some beautiful pink rhinestones and AB stones surrounding it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to use some jewelry glue just to make sure everything's nice and secure. And then I will readjust the prongs just for extra security to make sure that this is set in here really well. Now that everything is glued in and set, you can see how it looks. This does go well with the other rhinestones. So this one is repaired to the best of my abilities and can once again be worn and loved. I also wanted to show you guys this beautiful string of beads. This is broken. It's so old that the string that the beads are on is starting to just disintegrate and fall apart. I'm going to do this as a before and after. I am going to restring this, but it's going to take me a couple of hours at least. I will show you the materials that I'm going to use. I'm going to be using this silk beading string. And this is really neat because it has a piece on the end of it that is kind of like a needle almost, and it makes it easier to get through the beads. I will restring this necklace to be identical to what it originally was, and I'll show you guys the after of it. So this is the after of this necklace now that I've restrung it, and it took me about 2.5 hours to restring this entire necklace. I did follow the same pattern and I restrung it the exact same way it originally was. The only thing that I changed was this necklace had a spring ring clasp on it, and for the life of me I can't figure out why, because this is a very long flapper length necklace. You can see I have tripled it on the form. So I decided to just leave that clasp off of the necklace, and I think it's just fine without it. So back to the dragon brooch. When I got the stone out of this and I really started looking at it, I noticed that the reason the stone didn't want to fit into it properly is because this piece is bent. At some time or the other, this piece was really bent badly. You can see here where it's got a piece that goes down further. And then when you look at it on the other side, you can also see that it's bent. I could have attempted to straighten this out using my jewelry pliers, but the thing about it is this is a brass stamping, and I ran the risk of actually breaking the piece. When the stone was out of it, I noticed that the cup that the stone fits inside of was very warped and bent. So I felt like my best option was to close up these prongs everywhere that I could and use some jewelry glue to glue the stone in to hold it. It does help that it has the dragon that also holds the stone, but I just didn't want to take the chance of breaking this piece of jewelry. And you can see this is antique, this is Art Nouveau. At one time or the other, someone has fixed the pin where it came loose from the hinge. And often when repairing things, we can do more damage than good. And I didn't want to take that chance. So I did use some glue, and the stone is back in here, and it's really quite secure. It doesn't wiggle around when I move the piece. And when I shook the piece or when I've turned it upside down, it's stayed in place so far. So I think that this is a piece, I'm not so sure that I would want to wear it. This would be more of a collector's piece just to keep, maybe even to put in a frame. A lot of people like to use shadow boxes and frame some of their pieces of jewelry, so this would be a good piece for that. But that is about all that I'm going to do to this piece. See how secure the stone is? It's very nice and secure, and I'm just going to leave it that way. The last pieces I'm going to show you are the pieces that I had soaking in my homemade cleaning solution. I think that this one just cleaned up beautifully. It removed all of that old dirt and grime that was on this antique sash pin. So I'm very happy with the results on this. And as I've already mentioned, I'm just going to leave this pin the way it is. Here's a look at the other pieces along with the sash pin that I put into the cleaning solution. And as you can see, they cleaned up beautifully. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to share these items with me. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content on collecting vintage and antique items. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.